In Japanese society, the samurai were influential members of the military caste system. These armored warriors grew to be significant figures in the 12th century. They were born at the dawn of military governments called the shogunate. Many were employed by feudal lords, called daimyo, to protect their territories from intruders. Samurai were highly respected for their swordsmanship, prestige, and dedication to their lords. They are a well-known and captivating part of Japanese history and culture. Like knights, they pledged loyalty to their lords and country. However, the term samurai cannot accurately describe all subclasses of warriors during the Japanese feudal period. Sometimes, a samurai would find himself without a master due to death or betrayal. These masterless samurai were known as Ronin. Ronin were nomadic warriors who lost their fief and noble sponsorship. They were banished to roam the country. Frequently, they lost their position in society by refusing to honor the traditions that were observed after the defeat of their masters. The story of the Ronin is one of fascination, rebellion, and tragedy. 10. The true meaning of the term Ronin. The term Ronin is allegedly derived from the Japanese characters meaning floating man. It can also be translated to mean wandering man, wanderer, or wave man. This is because Ronin were considered directionless, like the waves of an ocean. The phrase Ronin first appeared in the Nara, 710 to 794, and Heian periods, 794-1185. The term described serfs who rebelled against their masters and ran away from service. It wasn't until the Kamakura period, 1185 to 1333, that the term came to be known throughout Japan. It was then used to describe samurai who had defied Japanese tradition and were forced to wander from place to place. Other samurai and feudal lords imposed the Ronin status to discriminate against warriors who rebelled. This was likely a way to discourage insubordination. 9 Ronin were born due to cultural shifts. Ronin became well-known during Japan's Edo period, 1600 to 1878. At this time, politics caused many samurai to shift into Ronin. During the previous era, known as the Sengoku period, samurai were permitted to find new masters. The Bushido Code allowed for re-employment under a new daimyo if their current lord was killed in battle. There was a constant need for warriors during this time, so most masterless samurai had a plethora of opportunities. Seppuku, often called hara-kiri, in the West, was less popular with the samurai. 8 Ronin were no longer considered samurai. The shogunate created a strict social order that placed samurai as key members of the military hierarchy. Samurai served their masters, the daimyo. The daimyo served the shogun, and the shogun served the emperor, or king. Ronin did not have masters and were no longer a part of this elite hierarchy. 7 Ronin were deemed lower class. Japan had a 4-tier class system from the 12th to 19th centuries. Ronin were viewed as being of a lower social class than samurai and were grouped with the farmer, peasant class. This is because they were no longer employed by a lord and did not have the same privileges as those who were. The feudal hierarchy of Japan considered Ronin to be a disgrace. They were seen as men who had failed in their duty to their lord and country. It could be compared to a dishonorable discharge from the modern-day military. Although, the status of Ronin was much more debilitating. 6 Ronin shattered Japanese tradition. Ronin were not only masterless warriors, but they were also deemed rebels. The same rules no longer bound them as traditional samurai. Ronin did not adhere to the samurai code of honor. This moral code dictated how a samurai was supposed to live and die. As Ronin were no longer considered samurai, they were not held to practice the 8 virtues of Bushido. But surely, some still used these virtues to live life. However, they did not have to abide as rigidly as they once did. When a samurai's master died, Bushido required warriors to perform seppuku or suffer incredible shame. Seppuku was a form of ritual suicide viewed as an honorable way to die. It involved stabbing and slicing open the belly with a tanto blade. Then the knife would be turned upward to deliver death. 5 Ronin had a notorious reputation. The shogunate considered Ronin to be unpredictable and dangerous. They were often associated with crime and violence. This was because many Ronin resorted to criminal activities to make a living. Other warriors that desired to preserve some of their lost honor became mercenaries or bodyguards for the wealthy. Many Ronin fell into career paths involving thievery, violence, and gangs. Their image became especially tainted during the Edo period. Ronin often rebelled against authority. There have been numerous instances where groups of Ronin took up arms against the shogunate and other authorities. The most famous case is the 47 Ronin, also referred to as the Akko incident. The 47 Ronin was a group of masterless samurai who avenged their daimyo's death in 1703, killing a court official named Kira Yoshinaka. This act of samurai loyalty and revenge was later turned into a popular play and movie. Some samurai desired to become Ronin. While becoming a Ronin was often looked down upon, some samurai aspired to this lifestyle. They believed they could live a freer and more honorable life without being bound by the revised Bushido code. During the 19th century, the Ronin movement became attractive to struggling samurai. The 260-year dictatorship of the Tokugawa was nearing an end. Ronin invented the modern-day haiku. During the Edo period, a new independent form of poetry arose from the Renga style. This poetic style, called haiku, was made popular by a Ronin named Matsuo Basho. His poems were different from traditional Japanese poetry. He did not favor the current style known as haikai and renga. Instead, Basho began dissecting the arts, writing haiku with a 17-syllable structure. He called this shofu, or Basho style. One Ronin evolved over time. As Japan transitioned out of feudalism, the role of Ronin and samurai also changed. During the Meiji period, Japan underwent a large process of modernization. This led to the abolishment of the samurai class in 1876. Because of this, the warrior class had to adapt along with the rest of Japan. They went through a transition from feudal vassal to patrimonial bureaucrat, as historians would say.